What's up, everybody? Welcome back to the Muscle Media Network for another episode of For the Love of the Game. This week, we are joined by super heavyweight NPC bodybuilder and prep coach Chris Vine. Chris, thanks for taking the time for the show, man. How are you?
Good, man. I appreciate you guys having me on.
Yeah, absolutely, man. So I've seen some of the clips recently on Instagram. You're there in the sling. You're still training legs like Dorian Yates, man. It's cool to see. So why don't you just give us and like the listeners a quick little backstory about where you're at with bodybuilding, where competition wise, how have you fared, and obviously we see that you're injured. Where are things with your health, and what are you looking to do moving forward, contest wise?
Yeah, man. So just a little background. I've been competing since a teenager. I'm 31 years old, so I've kind of been in the game for a long time. The pre-Instagram era, worked my way up through the ranks, got my ass kicked plenty of times coming up. Started doing well. A couple second place finishes, heavyweight division, moved up into the super heavyweight division, and then kind of won it overall. Back when I was late 20s, but still didn't think that I was going to be competitive at the next level. I'm not one of those guys that would just hop on a stage to see how I do. If I compete, I want to win. I don't think there's any mentality that should be different in bodybuilding or in life for that matter. Got fourth place at the 2021 Nationals. And then that's kind of what gave me a little bit of popularity, nothing crazy, but people wanted to see what I could do at that time of my life. And kind of hit a roadblock with some surgeries, getting things handled. And I'm not done by any means. I know a lot of people kind of write you off if you've been cut on or get a surgery or two. But to me, in my mindset, it's just things that I have to handle to get the ball rolling again. And that's kind of where I am, man.
Yeah, right on, man. So what's the injury right now? I know we talked a little bit off air, but for the listeners, what's the injury right now and what's the timetable? Like how far away from being back to 100% do you think you are?
All right, so right now, man, this one is a bicep detach and reattachment, and they had to move it to get mobility back in my shoulder. People who don't know my story, I've had 10 surgeries total, but this past year has been the one. These are the ones that have kind of set me back. So I've gone through 7 in less than a year, and to get back 100%, I'm a realist. It's not going to be overnight. It's probably going to be a good 2 years back in the game. To get the body responsive, put the tissue that's needed, and then be back competitive. And I plan on starting from ground zero, man. I plan on, picking a local show, popping in there. Hopefully we can do some damage at that level and then get judges' feedback, friends' feedback. Once you've been in the game long enough, man, you can kind of cut your head off your pictures and be a little bit real with what you need to bring up and where you lack to be competitive. But that's where we're going to be at, man. Hopefully, God willing, this is the last surgery and get right back into, an off season. I'm still holding about 260 in the morning, 255, 260. So I really don't think it's going to be an issue putting the size back. Shape of the muscle from being cut on so much, we'll just have to wait and see, and I'm willing to take that journey. So willing to see how far we can push it with a realistic time frame of like 2 to 3 years and then just go from there.
Yeah, man, we're like 4 minutes into this, and if that doesn't scream for the love of the game, I don't know what does. So now I know you and Turner go way back, and Turner came prepared with some questions and some topics. So I'm going to kick it over to Turner like I usually do, and then we're going to let it flow from there.
So basically, from what you just said, 7 surgeries in 1 year, that's kind of like, wow.
Wild.
What, say this is the last one, like you talked. What keeps you, like, what keeps that fire lit? That's like, as soon as this is done, we're going to rehab it. We're going to take 2 years, 2 more years, or 3 years, whatever it takes. What keeps that fire lit to just like go back into that? Potentially fuck something else up again, and then another surgery. I mean, like, that's kind of what I'm trying to get at, is like the name of this is For the Love of the Game. So like, what I know about Chris is he says that he kind of got some relevancy from 2021 Nationals, but anyone that's been doing it long enough knows that, like, people have been talking about Chris for 5-6 years. It's just like, I think it was that show that people were like, oh, okay, like, this is dude that he doesn't just train hard and just big. Like, he's going to compete. He's going to turn pro. and he's got all the tools. He just, you know what I mean? Like some of us bodybuilders just have to hit the right lineup. And I don't even think you're the one that's got to hit the right lineup. I just think that was the first time they'd probably seen you on stage in a long time. And I mean, a top fourth is the best I've done yet, and I've beat at it. So like, I wouldn't say that that's where you got any relevancy. I just think that, you know, that's just where you're at this point. But anyway, so now answer that question. Like, what's keeping the fire lit?
I mean, we could go off on a tangent, but the simple answer is I don't think about that. I don't think about, oh, I had to have my tricep, you know, sewn together, my bicep. If I start thinking in a negative way of how everybody says, once you have surgery, you're never going to bounce back. The body's never going to be the same. I don't see that. That's not in my head. That's not something that I have to fight with day in, day out. I know I'm going to come back. You know, like once you lose that mindset, like we talked a little bit on the phone of things are different, you know, as you get older. But if you're going to be in the game of competitive bodybuilding, there is no excuse. There's no justification. I know that's not trying to sound hardcore. That's not trying to sound like, oh, look at me. But I will be done with competitive bodybuilding if those thoughts came into my mind, because I know I'm not going to be the athlete that I could be. So in short, like what kept me going is I know I see myself back on stage. I've got a vision, you know, I've not lost that vision. Yeah, there's been times where, you know, after the third surgery, the fifth surgery, that you start questioning, like, what the fuck am I doing? Like, I just want to be out of pain. But then it's kind of like a cliche to say of, damn, if I've been through all this shit, it'd be a shame for me just to fucking quit to be living a normal life. You know, I don't want that normal life, man. I don't want the 9 to 5. I don't want to go to the gym to get a good workout. Like, I want to go compete, you know, and not compete against anybody else. We all want to fucking win, but I want to see what I'm able to do. You know, I want to push my mind to new extremes. You know, obviously there's not going to be 7-plate deadlifts and 7-plate squats when I'm back, but how can I figure out a new way to push my mind, and then the body will follow? That's just what I believe in, man.
Yeah, I think that you know, you said 7 plates, squats and deadlifts and all that shit. Like, I think that's kind of where you branded yourself from all the people that I know that know who you are. Like, I remember when I don't know how far back it may have been when we linked up, but like, though your videos started, like, you know, my friends would send them to me and be like, look at this motherfucker, you know what I mean? And then like you watch, and then you get another one, and then you're watching that one, and then you get like different guys sending these videos, and then you start following this guy, and you're like, dude, this guy's fucking hardcore. Like, there's no way around it. There's no you know, there's no reverse bands on this shit. He's picking up raw fucking iron, and he's squatting 6. I mean, I've seen you do some crazy shit. And you know, I've seen you do this shit in your gym the way you like to do things, which is another thing I want to talk about. So like I said, I think that you getting on stage was just your time to really present that on a big stage, to where like the whole industry got to take a look. You know what I mean?
But it stems back to why I guarantee we can all say the same thing of why we got into the sport of bodybuilding is we fucking loved it, man. Like, there was no, hey bro, get a video to try to go viral. There was no such fucking thing as viral when we first started. It was try to get MD or RX to hit you up so you could get on a video to get some publicity, you know? So the way I trained, and like, obviously it's got to switch up. How do you not love it, man? How do you not know, like, when your friend has OD'd on drugs, that he's never going to get to, you know, train again? Or your friend who, I don't know, got severely injured, who can't train again? Or your friend who's scraping pennies with 4 different kids on child support and can't take the protein powder that you can take because he got other obligations. It's a privilege, man, you know, to be able to go to the fucking gym when that's all you have to focus on. Of course, there's daily life choices that we've all made to allow ourselves to do this at the level we want to do it. But I just think it's disrespectful to the people that believe in you, and 2, it's disrespectful to yourself, you know, to go in there and give less than your fucking best effort. Like, again, it was not going to the gym to have a great workout or I know we all joke about the new generation of filming a video. It was literally to go to the gym to see how fucking hard you could push yourself, because that would translate in getting better. Like, there was no bands when we first started. There was no, hey, try this angle, a fucking hack squat. You wrap your knees up and you hack squat. You didn't have to reverse it or do one-legged lunges off the hack squat. That's just my mentality, man. Like, the bread and butter's free weight, squats, bench, deadlift. I still stand by that. You know, I've learned more about, I went to school, passed with the grades, but I wasn't really in tune with the knowledge of how you train. So now it's like, okay, maybe there's time under tension and tempo sets and rest pause and all the intensifiers that the guys talk about now. But one thing in common that everybody forgets to see just because we have Instagram is those guys built their fucking physiques on hard work, plain hard work, day in, day out. So that's my philosophy, man.
Where did that come from? Did you have like OG bodybuilders around you? Or because like you were saying, like, I think we all started, all four of us that are on this started before there was Instagram or even like before YouTube was popular or anything. So you were kind of at the mercy of what you had around you. And like, I'm big on like, you can only be, like you only know what you know. And like my training took off when I started to see other people that were fucking really training. So did you have other people that you looked to when you were getting started?
Nah, I mean, I come from a small town, but I'm raised from a northern background. Like, I'm from New York, moved down south. So in my head, growing up, I was always the outcast. You know, I'm not the southern go to church type of person, but that's the town that I lived in North Carolina for almost my entire life. But I had amazing parents, man. Like, my dad, there was no excuse. There's no justification. You know, you go to school to make the grades, period. Like, period. There's no excuse. You go to the baseball field and you practice hard. That's an opportunity to get better, to compete in the games. When you go compete, you go to win. Like, yes, it was fun, but like, winning is fun. When you win at the end of the day through your hard work, it is fun. But when you develop the mindset as you mature, of like we've already talked about, when you know within what you're able to give based on blocking out the fucking, oh man, I didn't sleep good. I'm dehydrated today. Maybe I shouldn't. Everything comes down to a mental like justification of, can we do it or can we not? And I saw my dad, get up every single day and go to work. Like, he never took a sick day. Now, is that the responsible thing if you're sick, hacking up, with the flu, to take a sick day? But he, in 35 years of practicing as a doctor, he never took a sick day. So like, kind of seeing it, like, I really do believe, not to go off on a tangent, you are a consumer of what you see and what you're shown, as you're growing up. And then, but also, everybody has the opportunity to determine what the fuck they want to do with their life, period. Whether it's going to be hard, whether it's going to take effort, whether it's going to take sacrifice, whether you need to be alone for a extended time period in your life to figure your shit out. I really believe, man, like, it's inside everybody, man. Like, it's just determined on how hard or what you're willing to do to get to where you want to be, And even with that being said, look at bodybuilding. You could have everything set up. You could have the genetics, the money, whatever, and you could still never make it. So, but you got to be able to look in the mirror at the end of the day and be like, all right, man, like, I gave every fucking thing I did. Like, I heard this saying, you can lie to other people and make them a believer. Like, you can't lie to God. He already knows like what's going on. But please do not look in the mirror and lie to yourself, because you're leaving chips on the table, man, that you could use to benefit yourself. So that's how I see it.
Yeah, that's a great point. That what I was talking about, like being able to see like that level of, being hardcore or commitment, whatever it is, it can come from a lot of different avenues. It can come from a mentor or somebody that you look up to. But in your example, in my example, a lot of people's examples, it starts at home with good parents, is what it sounds like.
It does, man.
That alone is a blessing. So yeah, man.
I've talked to Chris. I think that what he's failing to mention is like, yes, good parents, like you said, I saw the same thing with my parents. Like my mom was always gone working. And so in my mind, that's all I do now is just I'm just gone working. You know what I mean? But he mentioned being the outsider. And I think that like number one, he loves to train. We love to train. We love training at maximum capacity too. So like that just makes us fall more in love with the training. But I think that like that whole outsider thing is like, I'm not going to say depression or whatever it may be, but I know that Chris is like, he's felt at times where like the gym's basically the only thing that he's got. And so, you know, I mean, I've went through phases where I wouldn't say that I was depressed, but like I found myself going to the gym more often, you know, for a second session, or I just had to be in there, whether I was just going to go train my calves because like the weight was always still the weight was always still heavy, and I was still going to go in there and get better. And that's the way I looked at it. Like my mind had me fucked up. So that one workout wasn't enough to overcome how fucked up my mind was for the day. So I was going to go put myself back through another workout and hopefully after that second workout, I could sleep a little better at the end of the night. Now, I don't know all the things that Chris may or may not have dealt with, but him and I've talked on and off line before many a times to where like he's told me some of these things and stuff like that. So you don't have to go into detail with that stuff, Chris, but I feel like that's something that maybe didn't get talked about right through there.
Oh, bro, I'm an open book. I'm at a great deal of peace, even with the surgeries and shit. But we are only human, and I think that a lot of depression or anxiety is self-induced. But the younger me, being immature throughout my 20s, it was a lot of lost focus. I believe, as a young man, you're so driven, but you're immature. So, women, drugs, it takes your mind away from, what we talk about now being all in. And me and Turner, I believe the definition of being all in has changed as a 20-year-old man to a 31-year-old man, and still learning and still growing as an individual. But to go down that timeline, like just real quick, as a teenager, you're close-minded. I'd watched Chris Aceto say, it's like, you think Mexico is so far away, but Mexico is literally like hop on the plane, it's right there. So as a teenager with my training, I was so close-minded. I didn't give a fuck. I didn't have any girlfriends through high school, college, because I knew like I just want to bodybuild. So my mentality was I need to train and be a bodybuilder. Really didn't know the intensity levels of being depressed and using that negative energy to transpire into my workouts. But it was, oh, I'm one day going to, as naive as it sounds, I'm training at 19 years old because one day I might be standing next to Kai Green. One day I might be standing next to Jay Cutler. Why them and not me? Because I'm willing to go to a place. I'm willing, a lot of people get into bodybuilding because they see an Instagram video or, their friend does it. And now everybody should be bodybuilders. I signed up for bodybuilding for a lifetime goal. My goal was at 19, I said, I want to be a bodybuilder pro bodybuilder by 30. Now it's okay. I think I can do it before I have to hit the master's division. That being said, that was what I was driven by. As you as you grow and you become older, there's other influences in your life. Oh shit, now I've got this gym and I've got this girlfriend cheating on me. So then it's fuck, I don't have the money, man. I'm depressed. I want to be able to train and close the doors on my term. And I know I'm sporadic right now, but I'm trying to fill you in what was going through my mind. So training at 26, there was a different pull of energy than when I was 19, 20. So at 26, it was, man, my girlfriend, man, she's picking these drugs over me. She was a cokehead. She's a stripper. And I was like, man, you're not even good enough to be with this girl that's a stripper that you've known. Fuck that. Like, I'm going to train my fucking ass off, man. And so that's what I would call on. And like, retrospect, probably not the most mature mindset to bring in the gym, but that's what got the job done. And I really think like everything that you go through of like, if it's drugs, if it's women, if it's losing money, if it's whatever the case is that you think is a negative phase throughout your life, you can call on that and to redirect that energy into good. That's like what Turner said. Oh man, like no matter what I was going through, the gym was stable. That's where I would go. I would eat my meals, 6-7 meals a day religiously. It didn't matter if I was depressed or didn't want to eat. You fucking ate the food, man. Like it didn't matter if you fight into your girlfriend at 2 a.m. It's leg day. That's at that time you turn it off. You don't give a fuck. Like, okay, your girlfriend might be out there, but I gotta hit this leg day. But not only do I need to go to the gym to have a workout, I need to compete and I need to get fucking better. And it just stems from that intensity, man. It's like, are you going to the gym to go? Are you going to the gym to have a good workout? Or are you going to the gym to fucking compete? And anybody who takes it to the extremes that we do, you know there's a difference with no explanation needed. You know what I mean?
Man, a lot of good. There's almost too much to pick out of that, man. There's a lot of gems there. I'm curious though, like you were saying, you've mentioned a couple times, I think because of the injuries, that at some point the training does have to kind of adjust to your circumstance. I'm curious though, mentally, like, you know, you just outlined some tough shit that you went through that fueled like an entire era of your training. Do you find now as you've matured that you can kind of selectively tap into that and it doesn't need to be every day? Like you're almost like a, you know, you carry yourself like a professional and there's a standard to your training, but then there are these times where you can call on some of that darker shit.
Yeah, I'm trying to be a master of my mind currently, you know, because after the 6th surgery, I still was in a mindset. I still wanted to be strong and powerful, you know. So I had these goals lined up. I got to be able to squat this, and I did that. You know, I wanted to be able to row this, and I did that. Now, like with the surgeries and the limitations, I know it doesn't need to be that, but the intensity within needs to be that. I don't know if that makes sense, but I'm still trying to figure that out, to be honest. I know I can't, you know, go in there and do what I used to do. And I fucking hate that, because I hate being that person like, oh man, I used to do that shit, because I used to crack on those guys. Like, oh, you just a pussy. You know, you can't do it because you just a pussy. Like, you're not willing to have a little knee pain. You're not willing to have a little bit elbow tendonitis, and you want to lower the weight. And I understand now it's not about loads, but there gotta be something to say, man. If you're pushing some weight with some control, you're gonna build tissue. You know what I mean? But I think intensity within the set, man, you know, taking out the momentum, taking out the inertia from, you know, endpoints of the range of motion, and just keeping the tension is the way to go. But like a lot of people who train like that, they tap out, you know, early because of the pain, or not to get too scientific with the concentric, eccentric, and they don't have somebody who knows how to spot them properly and move through a passive range of motion. So like finding somebody who can spot you the correct way to train that way is one thing. The way I used to train of like, hey man, you're gonna pick up 500 pounds in a row as many times as you fucking can. I didn't need a spot for that. You know, I just needed the environment to do that.
Yeah, that's some good stuff, man.
All right, let's talk about environment. First question I have on here: owning your own gym. I think when we got started bodybuilding, that the gym that you owned for many years, like I think that's what most of our dream was about. Like when you go to the gym, like the music was like shit's rattling on the walls because the music's loud. You had basically you hand selected the equipment that you wanted in there for you. There's guys screaming and yelling. There's like plates clanging and banging and stuff like that. So I know just because of how long I've known you, like water leaked in through the fucking ceiling and shit like that. He liked to like shut the doors when he trained. Like it was his gym, and I mean it was his moneymaker too. I don't know how much money it did or didn't make, but like that's just he just did it his way. And I think that for a lot of us, I wouldn't say that I'm rebellious, but I just like to do things my way, and it may or may not be the right way all the time. But you know, I'm one of those guys that I'm gonna figure it out, even if I do it the wrong way for a year or two. Like I'm still gonna figure it out. I just got to take these lessons and touch the stove a couple times. But yeah, talk to us about your gym and you know some of the best memories you have from that place.
Man, that was the best time of my life, honestly. So little rundown of the gym, man. Opened it up when I was 24. I was gonna go to the Air Force, but I was like, I'm taking my life savings and I'm doing this. So this was when Craigslist was hot, man. So I'd just go on there and, hit people up and just lowball them. Hey, man, you want 300 for this hammer strength press? And they'd have to get rid of it. So they're like, yeah, man, as long as you come pick it up. So I just hustled to just get pieces and yada, yada, yada. But it was open. And like Turner said, man, like it was a gym. It wasn't where things were matching. It was no AC, no heat. It was fucking close the door and the insulation strip was gone. So it would just hot air coming in or cold air snowing. The roof was gone, man. It started leaking. There was like one leak and then there'd be two leaks. And then if it rained, I'd walk in, my whole leg room would be fucking water. But again, man, with the perception, it was like, but you still get to train in your own gym. Yeah, it's not fucking AC'd and it's got spider webs and shit because everything would crawl in underneath the fucking insulation strips and stuff. But that, like Turner said, man, that was like, I didn't give a fuck, bro. Like if I had the money to just have a little warehouse out here and train, being able to train and no one can say anything to you, like, hey man, let me talk to the manager, or I'm gonna tell the owner on you. Like there was incidents, man, where normal people off the street come in there, they see your gym, okay, this is a cool place, let me train, and you're over there fucking spitting on the wall, blowing a snot rocket, and you're telling your partner, like, let's fucking go. And guy comes over to me, man, and he goes, hey man, you being a little loud. And I was like, yeah, I don't give a fuck. Because at that time, man, I'm young, I'm fucking hot-headed, I'm like, I don't give a fuck, And he goes, so I'm gonna contact the owner. And I was like, I am the fucking owner, like, get out, you know what I'm saying? So that was when we were public. And then COVID hit, man, and I was sick of, the fucking roof and people not paying their memberships. And when I opened my gym up, man, all these franchise like Workout Anytime came, this gym called High Tone, another gym renovated. I was like, Jesus Christ, I'm not gonna make it, because I started seeing my shit decline. And I was like, I started the gym, invested my life savings with $200 in the business account, and I said, man, I'm selling gym memberships, t-shirts, and I'm gonna train whoever the fuck wants to get trained, because we got to come up with the money to pay next month's rent. Whenever I saw the other gyms open, COVID hit, I was like, man, I'm not shutting these doors for fucking members who don't want to come. I'm not shutting the doors because of the city. I'm not shutting the door because of fucking COVID. I was like, I'm not shutting the fucking doors, man. Like, I don't care. Like, they gonna have to take me out because I want to train. Like, I don't care about what's going on in the world. I don't care about the problems and shit. I'll pay my fucking taxes. I just want to train. You know what I mean? So my accountant said, he was like, yo, the only way you could really train through COVID, he goes, and let's be honest, your numbers are not looking good. He goes, and after 5 years, you need to show a profit. He goes, but what you could do is shut it down to the public and just make it a club. I said, well, what do I need to do that? He goes, just cancel everything, cancel your bank account, cancel your insurance policy, cancel your LLC. He goes, all you need to do is pay the rent, get the electric put in your name, and then if you want to have insurance on your equipment, you can. I was like, fuck that, I already paid for my equipment outright. So then naturally everybody wants to join your gym because you're the only gym open during COVID and everything. And bro, that was the best time of my life, because anybody who called, where you have to be, they nickel and dime you. Hey man, can we come, bro? Like, what about $20 membership for the first month? And you over here like $20. Like, I don't fucking put my life savings in, had 200, didn't know what the fuck I was gonna do in my life, but wanted to make this work. And you want to come for $20? When we were private, man, I'd be like, nah, bro, ain't nobody joining the gym. Have a good day, and click. And that was the best time, bro, where literally we would drive to the gym, open a door, lock the door behind us, and it was a fucking concert in there, bro. It was, yo, bro, what are we doing next? Because you couldn't hear nothing. But in my sense, like, I had that gym exactly how I wanted it, man. I didn't want the AC. I didn't want the heat. I didn't want fucking TVs on the wall. I had 2 places with mirrors, man, in front of each of the squat racks and in front of the dumbbell rack. If you were in the leg room, no mirrors, I was like, you don't need to see, like, you here to fucking work, man. You know what I mean? So that was some of the coolest times of my life, man, is just training. I've got stories for fucking days, but to me, that's just the past, man.
You got something for that, Joseph?
No.
I mean, I hope he painted a good picture of what that gym looked like. I mean, it looked like a gym.
Yeah, it's dope, man.
I mean, like you said, nothing matched.
Nothing
Yeah.
matched, bro. I remember sitting there. We had up to the 160s. I trained with the 160s in Boone, North Carolina, where I went to college. I called my friend. I was like, "Yo, go walk into that gym that we trained at for 3 years and see if we can buy those." Like, I was like, I don't give a fuck what it costs. Like, I want those dumbbells to train with. So we got those, and then obviously, you're getting bigger. So I said, "Man, ain't nowhere around here has 200-pound dumbbells." Grab those, bought those. And then it was like turning to every piece of equipment that I needed, like a horizontal row, incline chest press. I mean, weights, endless amount of weights. I wanted people to walk into my gym with the music, with the weights, with the machine, with the equipment, with the environment. I wanted people to say, "There's no fucking limit here, man. Like there's literally no limit. I could push my body as far as I want to push because Chris isn't going to say shit. I encourage that. As long as you fucking clean up your space, I don't care." I had every piece of equipment. The music was ridiculous. And the fucking vibe, man, we at my gym, and I proudly will be the front runner to say this, we're a bunch of fucking misfits, man. Like, don't fit in, people that would come down there. Like, it was the rough part of town, and we would be talked about negatively. And I fucking loved it, man, because we're the only gym open. Why is your gym not open? Why are we training and you sitting there complaining about not training? Why are you calling my phone? "Yo, Chris, man, what's up, bro? Remember me from high school? Hey, man, I can't go to my gym. I just want to work out." Fuck you, man. You didn't want to train whenever we were open to the public. So go fuck yourself. And I say that respectfully, not egotistically. It's just like, damn, man, like we could have still had a great thing going if y'all would have supported it when it was new. Not when you needed it or not when you wanted it. When we had something special, they didn't see it. But not to like beat a dead horse with that, I had an amazing group of fucking guys to help that gym go, man. Like without those guys, without the people who really believed in me and supported me, and that's really who we should be talking about, there would be no Chris. There would be no Chris that used to own a gym. There'd be no Chris that coaches right now. That's my word. You know what I'm saying? Like those guys made that gym what it was, to be honest.
Do you have any aspirations to own a gym again at some point, or you're done with it?
I can't be bothered with the public, man. I mean, that sounds shallow, but it's awesome to own your gym. But if I was ever to do it again, it would be private, man. It would just be who I wanted in there because you know how it is. You know how it is training in the public gym. People just don't respect it, and it's not a respect about the equipment. It's respecting the gym, man.
Yeah.
You've walked into gyms and you're just like, man, I don't feel this place. Or you walk in a gym, you're like, dude, we're about to fucking have a ball today. And I think the people make that gym up. You know what I mean?
Yeah, absolutely.
My next question, and this doesn't have to be like on stage. This question, and I've got a two-part to this. Like, I'm going to ask you my question, but I don't want, just because the last word in it is bodybuilding, I don't want you to think that it has to be on stage. It can be off stage. It can be, what happened because of being on stage. But so the question is, what is your best memory from bodybuilding? Like the one memory that like you wish you could go back and relive that one day. What is that? And it may, we may need to come back to that, but if you could think about it right now, what would that be?
I mean, shit, I don't even know, man. I mean, the best memory, if I'm being honest, like from bodybuilding is currently, like I just said, man, like without, winning a show, cool. Getting my ass beat, cool. The ultimate goal when I was 16 years old, got my license, went to the gym and I walked in and I was like, man, it would be cool to own one of these one day. I did that. Awesome. Owned the gym. But the ultimate was, man, it would really be cool to just train and get paid for it, or I could train, get paid for it, and then ultimately teach other people, help other people to progress their physique and fitness. And then in retrospect, man, if you're helping somebody build their physical, you're also, if you're a good coach or you love what you do, you're passionate about it, you would help build people mentally. And I've had money and I've been broke. It doesn't matter. But if you can change somebody's mentality for what bodybuilding did for you and give that to somebody else, to me, that's priceless, man. And fortunately, I've had a lot of incidents where I do feel like I've helped people out. I've been able to, you know, have the tough talks, because a lot of people, they'll come to me and they know that I'm going to give it to them raw, whether it's the right way, whether it's the wrong way, it's only my opinion. And so if I give you my opinion and you say this guy's a fucking idiot, I respect your opinion. But if there's that 1% that, hey man, this dude actually had an impact on me and it cost me not a dime, that's my best memory, man. And I've had quite a few of those, whether it's somebody losing over 100 pounds, you know, the kids who, hey man, I really want to do a bodybuilding show. And they, let's be honest, man, bodybuilding is a game of genetics, you know, a game of work ethic and genetics. And if you don't have it, you just don't have it. But you can push your body to a fucking extreme. So those people who get on stage and maybe they don't win their class, maybe they don't place well, but they did it. It took nothing off your back, bro, to show them the right way. And you help them accomplish a goal that they never thought that they could see on their own, if that makes sense. Specifically bodybuilding, probably that 4th place though, bro, to be honest, at the Nationals.
That was your best memory?
I mean, because it was a lot of shit, man. It was, you know, me and Liz split up back then. That was my fiance. Going through knowing that I was going to sell that gym, you know, the day after I got back from Nationals, I had to meet the guy to, you know, sign a contract where he could come pick up all the equipment and shit. So there was just a lot. And to know that I got that 4th place, and I don't even want to get into bodybuilding terminology of like, oh, I was depleted and I overdid. Getting that fucking 4th after all that shit that year it was pretty cool, man. And just seeing guys, man, I never went to a national level national level show. So like I'm in line, and you know how it is, bro. You size up everybody. Whoever says they don't is a fucking liar. So I'm standing there, and this guy turns around and goes, "Man, you're thick. What'd you weigh?" And I was like, "Shit, I weighed in at 240, 242, whatever." I was like, "What about you?" It was 265, and I'm thinking, God damn, like this is who I got to go on after, like, because they're doing individuals. You know what I mean? So I'm sitting there like, God, this 265 to my 242, I'm gonna look pretty small. And then getting that call out, hearing Steve call you out is just different, bro. You know, it's fucking different.
Who was 265?
Nobody. He was like last. You know how it is. You know how it's a fucking, you in the supers and you want to play that fucking number game, and then you get older and you're like, it doesn't matter if you're fucking 260 or 210. You know, you got to just bring what you bring. Absolutely. But yeah, man, that was a cool experience, man. But my mind was, I wanted to quit. I wanted to stop. I didn't want to do that prep. You know that, Turner. I wanted to fucking be like, come up with some bullshit. And you were like, dude, you got to stop pulling out of these shows. And I was like, what you mean? Remember that?
Because I can remember we talked, and like you hadn't trained arms in like, I don't know, a month or a couple months, because like you were having shoulder pain or something. What was the deal with your biceps?
My tricep, man.
Tricep?
Yeah, that was the one that was torn. So like, I didn't know it was torn. I was just like, I'm just going to train through it, because I partially tore my pec and trained through it. But when my elbow just tore, it split up the middle. But I would just icy hot it, wrap it up. I'd put 2 fucking compression sleeves on it just to train. And then there was a long time, man, where we just did like pec deck. That was it, because I couldn't really press. And that was like the mindset of like, damn, I don't even really know if I want to get on stage, not being able to train how I know I can train. You know what I mean?
And I can remember we talked in one time. I think you were telling me about how bad your knee was hurting or something, and then like going through the knee pain and shit, and you would just load up the stack on leg extensions. Like now, like that's like my fucking. I trained legs yesterday, and I did leg extensions for the first time in like 2 fucking years, and I mean, I've gotten smarter over the years. Like I would do leg extensions, and I wouldn't do the whole stack. I would do, you know, enough to get the squeeze, hold the contraction, and things like that. But man, when you hurt for fucking 12 days after that leg day, it's just like, God damn, what do I gotta fucking do? You know what I mean? But yeah. I can remember telling me about that too, and I've watched your crazy ass do all kinds of stuff, and I shake my head, and other people say the same thing. But you know, so I think it all, like I said, it all goes back to like, I do this the way I want to do this, and it's my way. And then again, like you said, it's that pain tolerance that the guys with the genetics they're not gonna fucking push through. You know what I mean?
Yeah, man. I mean, dude, training in pain is tough. You know what I'm saying? And then, like you said, training in pain is one thing, but then living with pain, and that's where it got to me. Bodybuilding is so mental, man. Everybody on this panel knows that bodybuilding is so mental of the food, and you're tired, and the training, and elbow tendonitis, all the bullshit. But whenever you get to the point where, I mean, you got labrums torn, you got muscles torn, you got tendons torn, and it's no fabrication. It is what it is. Living in, like when you're sitting there and 6 o'clock hits and you just like, God damn, my fucking back, I can't even stand up. Or you're literally limping to take a piss, and then you lay down and you're fucking, everything's throbbing. That's when I knew I had to do something about it, because I was like, all right, bodybuilding is one thing, but I'm not fucking Ronnie Coleman. I'm not wheeling around in a wheelchair. I'm 8-time ish. Yeah, if you told me that I could be there and that was the repercussions, I'd sign my death wish straight up, man, because I love bodybuilding. But knowing that I don't have all the credentials and that's where I'm fucking headed, I had to chill out, man. It's not a way of life that you want. And then you get smoking a little weed, and then that doesn't do anything. And you start taking little pills, and then it's like, man, come on, bro. You done seen a bunch of your friends die and then lose a lot of shit based on their addictive personalities. And I'm first to admit that I've got an addictive personality. Go ahead and handle your shit. And that was kind of where I needed to get all the surgeries done.
I want to go back and ask you about, because you had started to say like about that nationals prep, that you didn't want to go through it, and that you had a conversation with Turner, and he kind of was saying, man, you can't pull out of the show. Can you talk about that a little bit? Talk about the prep and then that conversation with Turner.
So Turner has had a big, not to sit here and blow smoke, but just calling it what it is. He's had a big impact on my mental. I can sit there and say maybe I was mentally a little bit immature or weak-minded, but, constantly talking to Turner, and he's right, man. I was going to do the Toronto Pro-Am show, 2019, and I tore my labrum, and I got a lot of flack, man, because that was right whenever I was starting to like be decent at bodybuilding. Oh, Chris could do something. I was younger, didn't have a lot of injuries, and boom, my shoulder, I tore the labrum, and everybody said I faked that. A lot of people were like, dude, you just didn't want to commit. You thought that you were too lean, too fat. All the bodybuilding talk. Nobody gives a fuck if you are dying of cancer. They want to see you on stage. You know what I'm saying? So the same thing happened, not an injury related, but just all the toll of being mentally weak, of like, oh man, like I'm gonna sell the gym. That was already a signed contract done after the nationals. I didn't have a fiance at the time because we split I think it was like 6 weeks before the nationals. So now I'm in my head of, damn, all this money to go to nationals with this stress, or to like move and set your life up. Cause now I'm not thinking about a partner that I got to take along with me. And I remember talking to Turner, and he was like, bro, if you don't do this nationals, he says something like, you want to be a bodybuilder, one. He goes, but you want to be able to make an income from this industry, whether it's coaching, whether it's whatever. He goes, man, if you have a reputation of posting all this, because I talk a lot of shit when I'm on caffeine, bro. I'll sit there after my workout and just talk shit, and then I'll come home and be like, I probably shouldn't have posted that, but I don't really give a fuck. Like if people just see me on a superficial level, then that's on them. They don't really fucking know who I am. And he said, man, he's like, you post all this shit, you created a following. He goes, but if you keep pulling out these shows, man, ain't nobody gonna take you serious. And I was like, this man's right. I mean, it does not matter financially, emotionally, whatever. If you don't have the fucking balls and the mentality to finish what you started, you don't need to be coaching people and taking people's money and portraying this image of, hey, man, I know what it takes to get peeled. Hey, man, I know what it takes supplementation-wise, food-wise, sacrifice-wise to get to where you want to be. Let me help coach you. That's all bullshit, man. I see through that shit. That's like everybody on Instagram want to be a coach. I see through that bullshit, man. There's something to be said of accumulating the knowledge. There's something to be said of accumulating knowledge through trial and tribulation, trial and error, and experience. And then there's fucking something to be said about actually doing the fucking thing and knowing how to get there. So Turner had a big impact on me, man. He was like, if you quit, he goes, that's how people gonna see you. Is just eventually they gonna catch on to your bullshit, and that you just quit everything that you say. And that shit stuck with me today. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah,
So
and then
Turner,
you end
appreciate
up,
it.
and then you end up fourth at nationals. So it was in there
Yeah.
all along.
Yeah, man. Yeah, I mean, and like I said, bro, not to be, I know my mind's sporadic. I just got a lot of shit in my mind that I like to speak, especially when I get these opportunities. But I
Yeah.
couldn't have done that fourth place by myself. You know, that's training partners, that's friends, that's family, that's people pushing me. Even though that we create those scenarios when you're on a lot of drugs, you're food deprived, you're doing a lot of cardio, and you think that, you know, you're the only one on the treadmill. You're the only one with this 400 pounds in your hands. It's not like that. And I'm the first to sit there and say, and hype it up of like, you got this individual sport and mentality and all that shit. And it is, but there is also to be something said of the people who fucking believe in you too, you know. And it could be just the kid that walks in the gym and sees you, God, this guy's vascular from head to toe. I want to be like that. How you're doing yourself a disservice and that man a disservice if you're not giving anything less than your best. And thank God Turner called me out on my shit. You know what I mean?
I want to add something to that. I think I lost my train of thought, but um, yeah, I mean, ultimately, what I was going to say is that, like, obviously, the way you train stands out, and then your demeanor, I guess we would say, your personality, and Tommy and I talk about this a lot. Like nowadays on social media, you have to create a personality, and the thing is, like, I kind of got away from that for a long time just because I had a child and like so much shit was changing in my life where I was like, you know, that was me from 24 to 28 where I was just like hell on wheels. And I'm still that guy, but I still think the same things and say the same things. Now, more so, I say them to myself, I keep them to myself. But like when I kind of blew up on social media, it was because I was saying that same shit. I was posting that same shit. Like you had the training to back it up. You had the so when you were talking that shit, you had the training to back it up. I feel like I was talking that shit, and then I'd go win an overall. And so yeah, I train hard too, but like I feel like I won a bunch more shows than probably you competed in. Maybe not, I don't know, but or maybe I put more of my competing out there online. You know, I know you've done team nationals and things like that, but I ultimately we talk about this all the time, like if you do the same thing that the next guy's doing, and I don't mean like for instance, everybody today is a biomechanics expert, right? So like this coach, that's what he's talking about. This coach, that's what he's talking about. This coach, that's the only thing that kept Boston relevant is the fact that like he was the only one fucking doing that, right?
Yeah,
And then
yeah.
he's gone, and then now you got Nick Trigilli. He's the only one fucking doing that, and he's blowing up. You know
Yep.
what I mean? Stop him. Ultimately, I mean, now he's back on fucking YouTube. I don't know what ever transpired and all whatever happened there, but like that your personality is what people want more of. And another thing I wanted to capitalize on is like, you know, I can remember when you wanted to start coaching people, right? And then, you know, fast forward to, you know, last year or the year before, then you start coaching people around the fucking world, and that starts to make you feel good. And like I know personally, like there's a kid that you coach here that I'd see him in the gym like 2 or 3 days a week, and you probably know who I'm talking about. But you know, that's one of those things where it's like I've watched a lot of things come full circle, whether it be with me or whether it be with these other coaches, and like knowing that I had you know, I had a relationship with you, and we've talked so much, and then boom, now this guy's coaching a guy that I see all the time, and the same thing with Dusty. Like I go places and I see guys that he coaches. I go places all the time, and people are, "You're Turner Riddle, man," and I'm like, "Yeah, yeah." It's kind of like makes you feel like a little bit of a celebrity sometimes, and it's like I ain't no fucking celebrity. I'm just a dude that like, you know what I mean? But um, all right. So my next question is, and we asked Dusty this, and he couldn't give me an exact answer, but I think you may be able to, maybe not. What so your years of training, what's the one set that you can remember that like your favorite set of all time?
Man, I hit a 675 for 7 on squats. And that was fun, bro. You know, I mean, but every time we went into my gym at Mecca, it was like that. It was kind of piggyback off what you said, like this coach is biomechanics. My mentality when it was me and Ed, my fucking training partner, who like my boy from high school, I would walk in, and the only way we know to be different was to do different shit in the gym, and it revolved around weight. So we would be like, hey, man, everybody's rowing 405, and some people touching 5 plates. And I mean, what people see in my Instagram is not, it doesn't tell that whole story, right? Instagram's a highlight reel. So like, that's why I say, if people want to see me on a superficial level, see my Instagram. You want to get to know me, hit me up. But the 675 for 7 had to be, but it was every fucking day, man. There was a stint from 2018 to 2019. You rowing 500 pounds every week, mandatory. There was no rep range. It was, if you get it for 3 reps, if you get it for 10 reps, if you get it for however, you're doing 500 pounds on barbell rows every fucking week. There was no, oh, it might be bad for my central nervous system. We train leg. It was mandatory. Same thing with chest, man. I remember getting ready before I tore that fucking labrum in 2019. It was mandatory 180s for 10 to 12, like on dumbbell flat. And then it got to the point where we would be like, all right, man, we need to start pausing these, because if we keep doing just these, we were doing choppy reps, man. You know how I used to train, and I wish I could go back, but nobody told me any different, and they probably did. I just was too hard-headed. But it was fucking mandatory to T-bar row 8 plates every fucking week, man. You know, it wasn't like Joe said, hey, man, I know you got to go back, learn that you can't train like that every day. I didn't know that. We trained 6 days a week, chest twice, back twice, legs twice. And we were squatting twice a week, benching twice a week, fucking rowing twice a week. So it was mandatory, man. But that 675 for 7, I believe it was, I never had a big pull. I could dumbbell row fucking 200 for, I think we did them for 30 one time. And Matt Jansen was like, that shit's crazy. And I was like, damn, Matt over here acknowledging you, boy. You know what I'm saying? And just crazy shit, bro. Like, the dumbbells were, it was always a 180. And then he'd be like, all right, you got to do 2s. And we would try the 2s every fucking week. You know what I mean? And that's what I wish I could do differently, is go back and be like, okay, maybe train in blocks, you know, like maybe this week we're going heavy, this week we're going tempos, this week we're going reps, and then I'll just rotate that. Because let's not fucking lie, man. I mean, that probably did take a toll on my body, and it probably prohibited muscle tissue growth. I mean, if you want to get down to the fucking science of it, you can't train like that 6 days a week, you know, fucking slinging shit around and loading up the tendons and the ligaments, not just the fucking muscles. But my mindset was, if I'm going heavy enough and I'm putting as much intensity as I know I can put into it, the muscle's going to get fucking hit. I don't care about these tendons or ligaments. I know the muscle's going to be fatigued. So that was kind of my ignorant mindset back in the day.
No, man, sorry, Joseph, I'll let you go. But I just, the only thing I want to say to that is, like, I think you're right. I think the block training is probably going to be best, because, like, what I think we all fail to do is ever kind of start our training back over where we focus on correct form. Like, we think because we've been incline benching for, 20 years that our form's just perfect, right? But, like, Tommy and Dusty and I talked about this, like, okay, you go through that phase where you're putting more weight on the bar, but, like, on those last 2 reps, you cut that much out of your rep. So, like, you did more weight, you progressive overloaded, but you lost on range of motion. So, like, is it a win or is it a wash? And so I think that, like, yeah, dude, I do think there's something for ripping 200-pound dumbbells for 30 reps. Like, yeah, everything over there is going to fucking grow from right here to your fucking glutes is going to grow. And I mean, we trained shoulders today, and my glutes were so fucking tight from, I can't remember what we were doing, but, like, I couldn't walk. So, like, I can remember dumbbell rowing super, super, super heavy, and, like, from my hamstring to my neck was tight. You know what I'm saying? So, yeah, shit fucking. But then, like, when you get into that routine of just ripping, I do think you kind of lose. I mean, you know that a bent row is going to train your back, right? Your lats or whatever. So, but I think that, like, you do need to hit that phase where, and that's what I always like to do. When I go TRT mode or come off, that's where I like to, like, hone back in on, like, perfect form, or what I at least like to call perfect form. And then that way, that's kind of like my reset.
See,
and I do.
when I would go TRT, my motto was I'm gonna get stronger.
Exactly.
And then when I fucking blast, I'm gonna be even stronger than the last cycle. That was my
much, that's what we
But hey, to piggyback off what you said, the training, I think progressive overload and tempo is the best way. But it's like when you're 21, and let's be honest, you get on a cycle and you fucking feel invincible, that ego gets in the way, man. But if you can take that energy and put it into that fucking 3 seconds down, no inertia at the bottom, contract like a Nick Walker, that's harder than fucking slinging shit around. You get tired, you sweat, you fucking breathing hard, but the focus and intensity of controlling that same weight for less reps or 80% of that weight and getting the fucking most out of that, it's a whole different level of focus, and it's harder, man. Like point blank period, no way how you cut it. Taking the muscle to absolute muscle failure and beyond is different than taking fucking your body is too exhausted to keep going because you fucking been whipping shit around and you're tired, in my opinion. You know what I mean?
That's the hardest thing to teach younger people as a coach is like absolute failure doesn't mean like you're crammed to the ground by the bar and you cannot move your body. Like it just means the muscle's going to stop working. But you have to remember that like I did it that way too. Like the deadlift was over when I couldn't, I had to round my back to even move it an inch. So I think the blocks, the periodization of the training is definitely the way to go. When I tore my knee last year and I had PRP, I got back into some strength training books that I had looked at in high school, and it lays everything out. And because you've been doing it for over a decade, you start to understand like, oh shit, if I go into the gym with like a set number that I'm going to train with, and I do all these sets and with this weight, and I don't go heavier just because I feel good that day, over the course of 3, 4, 5 weeks, I'll build up to stronger numbers and my joints and tendons won't be smashed at the expense of it. You can kind of start to see the framework, but when you're young and in your 20s, and like you said, Chris, I mean, that first exposure to gear, good luck trying to control it, dude. That's so much power that like is just bursting out of you when you get to the gym. You're a stronger man than me if you can control it your first time.
Yeah, facts.
But also, you had mentioned like those earlier days slinging the weight is a level of ignorance, which I understand the perspective. But also, man, like we all help like some of these younger guys, and I would rather have younger guys that are willing to go to the end of the earth at first, and then as your coach, I can tell you where there's a time and a place for these things, and I can periodize it for you and all these different things. But man, like you're talking about being on stage at 240 pounds, like what percentage of the human population is ever going to do that? You had to do some wild shit and endure some wild shit to reach that. And I think that's lost, like with the science and with some of the younger guys. I'm not knocking it. There are a lot of younger guys that are balls out and they want to train. But I think as a general theme, man, like just general hard work, like you talked about, even if you're slinging shit and whatever, like there's a time and place for it. From fucking 18 to 25, like you should move some big weights and you should sling some shit and try and build a big human first. Yeah, then you might look up at 25 or 26 and say, man, I have this injury I need to work around. My lower lats need more. So then you bring in some of these little accurate exercises, whatever. But the big takeaway, and a lot of the guys that we've talked to on this show had that like inherent drive to just do some crazy shit in the gym. And I think that is the foundation of a lot of these great bodybuilders that we see.
Do you guys think it's the exposure level? Like when we were coming up, we would see Marcus Rule with these big ass containers of food. And, if you were lucky enough to talk to the guys who were taking gear, it was, I don't give a fuck. It was the 1,500 milligram of test or 2 grams of test cycles. And now everyone's a coach. And like, so if you choose to follow somebody based on their personality and you like this person and they're teaching you bodybuilding and you think that's what working hard or that's what a work ethic is, but they're not even scraping the surface, the perception level of training is different. Oh, everybody, I know the ongoing joke is the one arm cable row. Great exercise, but it's not going to replace the fucking T-bar barbell row, period. So it's like, do you think with the exposure, you can do bodybuilding and don't have to go extremes? You don't have to eat a lot of food in the off season because you don't want your digestion to be bad. Or, hey man, I'm really bloated before I go to the gym. Do you think we can, lower the food in the pre-workout meal? No, you can't, because this is pushing, like, this is demanding your body to grow. If you stay complacent and you train where, oh, it doesn't hurt that much, or my stomach doesn't hurt that much, so I can digest the food more efficiently and effectively. So this 200 grams of rice is going to get me to where the 290-pound freaks are, because I'm more comfortable. Like, I hate, if nobody else is going to fucking say it, man, like, bodybuilding is an extreme and an unhealthy sport. You can fucking take all the fucking precautions, but before you get into this as a 19, 20-year-old, whatever how young you are, you need to sit down with your morals and your mentality, write out the pros and cons. And if you're in this for the long run, to accept that, hey, this is going to be a long road of extremes. Whether you're bulking, it's going to be a lot of food. When you're getting ready for contest, it's going to be a lot of cardio for the majority of us, and a lot of suffering with the hunger. The PED size of it, you're not going to be, Ronnie Coleman as my genetics taking 500 milligrams of testosterone. It doesn't fucking happen. Yep. Is that the healthier way to go about your journey? 100%. Is that going to get you to where you want to be? Probably not. You know what I'm saying? And these kids, man, from hearing it from multiple different mouths of, hey, man, I can make you the great bodybuilder. Work with me. Pay me $400 a month. Hey, man, we don't have to push the gear as much as that coach does. Right. It's a sales pitch. This is marketing. Yeah. Everybody wants the clients. If you want to be a fucking good bodybuilder, accept that it's going to be hard and you're going to push extremes. That's my opinion.
Yeah, but your opinion is based on a lifetime of building muscle. Like, we recorded a different show yesterday, and it's like, man, like, there's too many people that get a platform and have a loud opinion about the best way to do something, like the best way to build muscle, and it's coming from somebody that's 180 pounds. And it's like, in what world are we going to take this person's advice? I use the analogy, like, if that would be like taking financial advice from somebody that was dead broke and in debt. Like, it just doesn't make any sense.
Yeah, 100%. I mean, I don't want to make this all about gear, but since the topic is up, if you want to do this smart, just for anybody listening, if you're going to use insulin, get a glucometer, get your blood glucose reading, and know what the fuck it's going to be. If you're going to take gear, like, before you even start your cycle, get your blood work done, know your markers. Understand, when you take performance enhancing drugs, your blood markers are going to be skewed, period. So if you're one of these people who preaches, hey, man, we got to get bloods, 8 weeks into the cycle, don't fucking take steroids, period. They're bad. They're going to do bad things to your body. If you do a cycle properly, you monitor all your hormones, fucking keep regular check on them, and you come off and you PCT, or you give your body the time to regroup and detox, yada, 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 get your blood work done. If it's completely fucking skewed after that cycle, you probably don't need to be doing fucking PEDs, performance enhancing drugs. If your body bounces back, it regenerates itself, hormonal panel comes back good, yeah, probably dabble. That does not mean that cycle was harmless to your body. As bodybuilders, we understand, if I'm doing this cycle, in the long run, there's no studies with the extremes that we do, more than likely, that is going to harm my health in the future. There's no fucking take this, take a little bit of this, and your body's going to be amazing. So anybody who's getting into this, know that it's a serious fucking decision. It's not just grab a couple bottles here and there, and take your breathing serious, but don't be ignorant to the fact that, oh, if I take all my health supplements, if I eat clean, if I do my cardiovascular for my heart, I can do it a healthy route. If you want to be doing this healthy route, just get into fitness, man. Keep your body 170 pounds, 180 pounds, go on runs, work out. But if you want to be a fucking competitive bodybuilder at like the level that we all like to do it, understand that, hey, man, it's pros and cons. But if you love it, no one's going to sit here and tell you how you should or should not, how you should live your life. So I just want like it's out there too lightly of these coaches that are like, I can get you there healthy. Hey, we don't have to do that. You know what I'm saying? So it's like, this is a very serious topic, and everybody who wants to sit there and talk about enhancements, they think that, oh man, like I would teach you the right way, and the proper, there is no fucking right way on how to do PEDs. You know, we've all accumulated this knowledge through, you know, trial and error and seeing other people, how they respond. But there's no, hey man, you know, there's a textbook. And if you want to be 280 pounds in the off season and compete at this, at 60 years old, we can get you healthy again. It doesn't work like that.
Yeah, we said all the time, there's no rules.
No rules, man.
I think all through your bodybuilding, you're faced with a series of decisions that you're either going to lean in and keep going, or you're going to be like, no, I've had enough, and this is where I call it. And for me, you know, from the moment I started till even now, it's always been like a crosswalk. Like I look to the left, look to the right, and just keep going. Like there's no turning back. There's no, there's no feeling sorry for yourself for the 9 years of decisions you've made. And then you're like, oh shit, what did I do? Like you live by the sword, you die by the sword. I'm not saying you're going to die if you compete in bodybuilding and take drugs, but ultimately, I think that's the sacrifice that no one can really describe unless they spend a lot of time with their own thoughts. Like every decision I've made over the last 10 years, like quitting my career, moving to the West Coast, like all of that's been for bodybuilding. That wasn't for any other reason other than bodybuilding driven. So I think bodybuilding can bring you a lot of good to your life too. But yeah, I don't, the sales pitch that it's just a perception thing though too, because there's a lot of people getting into bodybuilding who they can't tell you the names of 3 Mr. Olympias. They can't tell you the names of 5 current competitors. They don't know the shows. They don't know the fucking NPC circuit. They don't even know how to turn pro. They just know that they want to track all this data, and that's what they're into. They're not actually into bodybuilding and the history of it. They're into fucking like data tracking. And that's a perception that like they're not going to listen to this show and be like, I like what these 4 guys had to say. They're gonna be like, these guys are lunatics. I'm not gonna do anything they're saying, which is cool. It's their opinion, but at the same, like that's what I've come to realize is like there's now these, you call them camps, whatever. Like I'm not against science, but I'm also tracking my shit with spreadsheets is not why I got into body. I don't want to do that. So
yeah, exactly.
I'm not gonna do it. But there's others who like they fucking salivate over the opportunity to track everything and color code it and have it on a Word doc on their computer. And like, if that's your thing, that's your thing. But understand, like, that's probably not what's taking titles and building championship bodybuilders. It's just not.
100%.
Look, I want to add this. Tommy will know what I'm talking about. This is just how far we go back. But like, and I used to say some crazy shit. And this is just one of those thoughts that like, I used to like, if it popped up in my head, I posted it just to see what fucking happened, And so like, I can remember posting this on my social media on Facebook probably 5-6 years ago, but it was something, I don't know the exact wording, but it was like, and this goes hand in hand with everything that we're talking about. We all say like the greatest era of bodybuilding is behind us, right? For the most part. I mean, we're getting to live this one, so we're kind of writing the story of this one. But like the one that we salivate over is Ronnie, Jay, those guys, just the big dudes. They say probably the greatest era of music would be like 60s, 70s, and 80s, maybe even into the 90s. Those guys were full-blown drug addicts. If they never touched any drugs throughout their whole run, we would still have that same creative level of music that's timeless.
Man, definitely not. Some of these greats have talked about like a lot of these guys like Jimi Hendrix and all these guys came up with their most legendary shit like 4 tabs of acid deep. Like it just takes that. It takes you. I like the way that Chris said it. If you want to look or be something that nobody else is, then you got to do shit that nobody else is doing. I love that. That just that encompasses it as simply as you could put it. Like your actions are going to result in something. And if your actions are the same as everybody else's, your end result is going to be the same as everybody else's.
Well, I think that, you don't really you put a shot of testosterone in your arm or wherever, like you don't like instantly feel any certain way. So I'm not saying there's not an addictive feel to it, but like you're full blown off season and you take 100 milligrams of like test suspension and then you take an anadrol on the way to the gym. You can't tell me that like you don't. I mean, like that whole drive to the gym, you don't give a fuck, dude. You're just fixing to run through the goddamn walls, and that's what I used to tell myself. Like I used to tell myself when I was deadlifting, because that was kind of my thing. Like some people like bench press, some people like squat. Chris has a 675-pound squat that like he remembers. I can remember deadlifting 7 plates on the ground, and I used to like tell myself. And there were days I didn't get it, and there were days I did get it, but like not. I did 7 plates one time, but there were days where like I would go in the gym and shit just felt light, and I was like, "There's no weight that I'm going to touch today that's not coming up off the ground." Like it might not come all the way up, but it's coming off the fucking ground. You know what I mean? And so like I do think that there were some days I would take some things and it was just like, all right, what's one more going to do? Fuck it, you just run with that. Like I'm gonna fucking take it, I'm gonna do more.
That's the best fucking days, man. You know what I mean?
I think that was my like heyday of like, Aerosmith and the guys that you talk about where they were just like they were on a whole nother planet. I've been on a whole nother planet many times walking into the gym, and those are some of the best workouts. Like I told you before, like most of my best memories of bodybuilding were in the gym that nobody saw, weren't on camera. Like, yeah, I've got some cool wins and some cool shows and shit like that, but like those days where you row 405 for the first time when nobody's doing things like that, you pick up 6 plates and then you're like, fuck it, that one was easy, let's see what 7 plates feels like. Those are the shit, that's the shit that I was living for at the time.
Man, you got no aches and pains, no muscle tears. You just fucking juice to the gills and like want to get after it, man. I love that shit.
Man, I saw a clip recently. It plays into what we're talking about now, but Milos, I guess, was on Jay Cutler's podcast, and he had like Nasser's cycle, and he goes, Jay, you were big into the anadrols in your time, right? How many? 4 a day? And Jay like begrudgingly answers. He's like, yeah, I was up to 4 a day. And he goes, look here, Nasser, 10 a day, 10 a day. And it's like, man, that sounds crazy. And we all shake our heads. But again, like these are the guys that get remembered.
That's right.
That's a fact. It's a fact.
But then you go in that comment section, because Turner sent me that post last night, actually. And it's all these natural dudes, like almost like happy that he died. And they're like, see, natural's the way, blah, 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 blah. And like, I see that. And my point is like, if you're natural, cool, that's a moral decision. I don't give a shit what you do or don't do with your life. But at the same time, you're the equivalent of a corporate 9-to-5er. No one grows up wanting your life. That's the same with bodybuilding. Like, no one looks at natural guys and they're like, that's it right there. Like they look at Ronnie Coleman, they look at Jay Cutler, they look at Nasser. Same thing. Like, why was the best era of baseball when they were juiced to their fucking heads? Mark McGwire, Sammy Sosa. I was 10 years old. I loved baseball when they were hitting 500-foot bombs. If you never would have disclosed that they were on steroids, baseball would still be the greatest thing in America and everyone would love it. It's when you throw out that little notion like, oh yeah, but they took gear, like those fucking sinners.
You know what I mean? Who gives
no one
fuck,
wants
man?
To be normal. Yeah. Red Bull doesn't sponsor people who work normal lives and do normal shit. The world wants trendsetters that are going to push the limits. Same with music, same with any industry.
And in order to do that, man, like you said, Joe, you got to be fucking different, man.
Yeah.
Like you're going to be like being, like Rich Piana, the 5%er, like, but being the different, being the multi-millionaire, being the professional bodybuilder, being the whatever, you're going to get a lot of fucking criticism, man. So like, and it's like Tom said, it's criticism from people who are never going to fucking take that risk. It's not a comparison of a man of, oh, he's doing this and it's taking that fucking initiative of your own life and seeing how far you can go, whether it's bodybuilding, business, or whatever the fuck case that the journey that you're chasing. A lot of people would rather sit back and be like, well, this is less scary. I don't get anxiety from this way of life. I like my normal fucking day to day,
Comfortable.
I love the risk, man, because I've taken a lot of fucking L's, but I've won a lot too. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I
Yeah,
think
it's
that
the only way to know. It's the only way to know. Is to fucking risk it all, really.
I think that when Rich was, still alive, we all were kind of like, damn, he's doing it. Like he's promoting what we fucking like, even though like, he's kind of got the like real misfits on his team, and we may not fit that, that stigma per se, but like for what he did and what he promoted, and it's still being promoted to this day, it's like he's fucking. I mean, don't get me wrong. Like if you got Jay and then you got Rich Piana, we all probably want to go towards Jay, but like those two are outlive it. Fucking Rich is dead, and he's basically still bigger than Ronnie. He's bigger than Ronnie Coleman, if you ask me, at this point. And I don't mean size wise. I just mean like he's still fucking relevant. His brand is still out, and it's like now I sit back and I'm like, he fucking niched that. Like he's the guy that's got every fucking tattoo, and he says I'm a fucking 5%er, and he's got 5%ers on his team that are it's like when the Hells Angels pull up, all the other fucking bikers, they just kind of like fizzle out. They're like, I'm getting out. I'll see you later. You know what I mean? But the fucking Hells Angels, we're here. We're gonna take over.
Yeah, hell yeah, man. But don't you think? I mean, that's like bodybuilding paved all of our ways in life. Of like when you started competing, there was no Instagram. There was no I remember getting ready for my first teenage bodybuilding show, and this guy in the gym would always remind me every fucking day that there was this 240-pound kid in Charlotte that was going to do my show, and I was going to like get my ass beat. So I would just train my balls off. But developing into that bodybuilder, and I'm only going to relate it to the fucking local show because that's as far as I've got really with it. Stepping on stage, as a developed man now, you're 230, 240 pound stage, and you win the overall, and you've got nobody in the stands but like your parents, no friends are yelling, and you fucking wax all these people with their girlfriends and their friends that took off work, and they're like, yo, man, I know this guy gave everything, and you're the motherfucker with the Walmart hoodie on, the oversized pants to get your tan, and you walk out on stage, and it's like everybody sits there and says, like, okay, this is a free this, but what the fuck did he do that was different? Like, why is that guy just so fucking different? And I think that's what it takes, man, mentality-wise. Like I said, whether it's in bodybuilding, whether it's in business, whether it's just you wanting to be the best person that you can be in the day-to-day walk, got to be fucking willing to do what's different, man.
Yeah, I've talked about all those things. Go ahead, Joseph. Sorry.
No, you go ahead. I was just going to say that's maybe the biggest takeaway from the whole show. I feel like I'm ready to go fucking train legs after talking to you guys.
I like Chris, what you just brought up. Like I've talked about that where, it's all these little things that you can dial back in when you want to. You call them receipts, you call them backhanded compliments, but like there's so many. I've got like the old filing cabinets. They're like this fucking tall. Like I got cabinets full of things that like I can pull out when I need, whether it's to eat a cold fish meal or put 400, 500 pounds on my back and squat, or do an hour of cardio. And one of those used to just be like, I'm going to go do the show and I'm ruining everybody's like, and when I mean everybody, like, okay, there's 100 bodies in the show. Well, let's just say they all bring 3 people. That's 300 people in the stands that they all got to go home to tonight, remembering who? Me, and like I used to just fucking thrive thinking that like 300 new people are going to know who I am because I'm everybody. Well, it's going to be my show. You know what I'm saying? Like, and I used to always call it like the overall winner's it's his night. He's the king of the show. You know what I mean? Like, I don't care about any other class. I want to get my picture taken. I want to have the bag. I want to have the big trophy. I want them to know, he's the overall trophy, or he's the overall guy. And like, that's just one of those things. Like, and that one usually sat at the very front of the fucking filing cabinet.
Hell yeah, man. I mean, there's one winner in bodybuilding. Everybody else just pays the promoter to make the show happen.
Yeah, exactly. How long have we been going?
I think we're at like an hour and a half, just shy of it.
It's probably a good time to cut off and do it.
Yeah, I was gonna say, I don't know about you guys. I gotta eat. So no, man, we can't thank you enough. This was an awesome conversation. Just meeting with you and speaking with you, man. I have no doubt you're gonna have an open invite to come back on the show whenever you want. So
Hell yeah, man.
man, we'd love to have you back on and hear a part two. I know a couple times you had mentioned you're like, man, I'm a little sporadic. We want to hear you speak. Like, you're our guest, and we wanted to hear your mentality to see what you bring to the show. So don't ever hesitate. The next time you're on, don't hesitate or apologize for it. We appreciate you for being you. Anything you want to plug before we get out of here?
Nah, man. I just appreciate you guys having me on. Talk a little bodybuilding, you know.
Right on. All right, guys. Well, this was For the Love of the Game, Muscle Media Network. And until next time, we're out.